Are you a student or a working professional who is looking for a great career in software development? Then you have to think about the aspects like what is the trending technologies in the industry and the kinds of questions being asked in an interview or how to improve your CodeChef ranking. If you are like this, then this Unacademy subscription of career as a software developer is definitely for you. Our hosts are working with some of the top companies like Google and Amazon. They will walk you through their own industry experience and interact with a lot of guests like HR and industry leaders of top companies where they will ask questions raised by you. We will be covering a lot of content that will benefit your career. Like in live episodes, you get an opportunity to ask tech HRs about top 20 interview questions and industry leaders directly about the recruitment process in startups or MNCs. Guys, even you get your resume and your projects improved by getting them reviewed by the expert SDEs. You can participate in mock interviews and learn courses on programming languages, cloud computing, blockchain, and crypto, as well as get a knowledge in digital marketing and data analytics also in this Career for Software Developer subscription. Have you wondered about what questions are asked in top product company interviews? If the answer is yes, then we have a show where the host Love will walk through top interview questions usually asked for companies like Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Amazon, and LinkedIn, and how to solve them and respond in a way that helps you in cracking job interviews. In this episode, Love will walk through some important questions asked in Microsoft interviews and help you understand how to approach the problems, how to avoid common mistakes, and things to remember while you solve those questions. Now, what is it that you won't find on YouTube? You will get a chance to come live with Love and get your queries resolved on the spot. Now, if you are a college student looking to get placed in top product companies, or if you are a working professional looking for to switch, this is the show for you. Hi guys, welcome to Code Bashers. Guys, in this video, I will be discussing the important interview questions of Java. Guys, I will be covering around 10 to 15 questions of Java which are most commonly asked in an interview. So make sure that you do not miss any of these questions and watch this video till the end. Guys, previously also on my channel I have uploaded different subject questions, that is important Python interview questions, important machine learning interview questions, important OOPS interview questions, as well as important DBMS interview questions. All of these videos have already been uploaded on my channel and you can find all these videos under this playlist, that is important interview subjects. I will give the link of this playlist in the I button or in the description box. Make sure that after watching this video you watch these videos also, because these videos will really help you for preparing for your interviews. So guys, if you're new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe this channel as well as join my Telegram groups also. All the links of the Telegram groups are given in the description box. Make sure to join them because I post regular updates on different companies which are hiring, as well as I post regular interview experiences of different companies. So make sure that you do not miss those updates and are present on my Telegram groups. All the links are given in the description box. So guys, now let's start this video, and before starting the video, please hit the like button as well as the subscribe button for this channel. Okay, so the question is, why is Java called platform independent programming language? So first let's understand what is platform independent. It means that you write a code in any of the operating system and that code will run in different operating systems also. You do not need to, every time you do not need to compile that code in different operating system. You just compile that code once in any operating system and then that code will get converted into bytecode, and that bytecode with the help of JVM will get executed on different operating systems. So this is why Java is known as the platform independent language. That is, first a Java program that is written in any operating system will get compiled, then that Java code will get converted into bytecode, and then that bytecode can run on any operating system with the help of the JVM. Now, whenever we want to run a Java code in different operating system, we do not have to share the entire Java program, but we can share the .class file, that is the bytecode, to different operating system, and with the help of JVMs, that bytecode can run on different operating system as well. So guys, I hope this question is clear to you. Now, next question is, what is the difference between JDK, JRE and JVM? Again, this is also a very commonly asked question in an interview for Java. Let's first understand this image. See, JDK is at the top, and inside JDK there are certain development tools which help in there are certain development tools plus JRE, and inside JRE there are some library classes as well as JVM. So this is what a diagram looks like. So at the top level there is JDK, then inside JDK there is JRE, and inside JRE there is JVM. Now let's see the difference between them. Now first of all, JDK. The full form of JDK is Java Development Kit. So these are just full form. Java Development Kit. The full form of JRE is Java Runtime Environment, and the full form of JVM is Java Virtual Machine. Now see, JDK is a software development kit to develop applications in Java. Now JRE, it is a software bundle which provides Java class libraries with necessary components to run Java code. So Java code is run with the help of JVM, and JRE provides JVM the necessary classes as well as libraries to run the code. Now JVM executes the Java bytecode and provides an environment for executing it. So we have seen first a Java code is after compilation is converted to bytecode, and then that bytecode is run on different machines using JVM. So JRE provides different classes for running the program, and JVM executes the Java bytecode, and JDK is sitting at the top, which provides the development tools for running all the programs. So I hope the difference is clear to you. Now, one similarity is that in these three things, that all these things are platform dependent. Like Java in all is platform independent, but JDK, JRE, JVM separately, if we consider them, they are platform dependent. So I hope these differences are clear to you. Okay, next is explain super keyword. Now, the super keyword in Java is a reference variable which is used to refer immediate parent class object. So whenever inheritance takes place, then only we can use super keyword. So super keyword is in Java is a reference variable which is used to refer immediate parent. So using the super keyword in the child class, we can access parent class also. Now, usage of Java super keyword. So there are two places where we can use Java super keyword. Now, first is super can be used to invoke immediate parent class method. See, whenever inheritance takes place, some of the methods are also been inherited to the child class, but using the super keyword we can access those methods of the parent class, immediate parent class. Now next is super can be used to invoke immediate parent class constructor. Similar, like we can access the immediate parent class methods using super keyword. Similarly, we can access immediate parent class constructors also using super keyword. So these are both the main functions of super keyword that is in Java. So I hope this question is clear to you. Now next is again a very commonly asked interview question, that is explain final keyword. Now final keyword is used to apply restrictions on class, method and variable. So a final keyword is basically for applying the restriction to the program. Now it can apply restriction to class, it can apply restrictions to method as well as variable. Now a final variable, a value of variable which is declared as final, a final variable's value can't be changed. So if we have defined like final, then name of variable, like let's see, so final and then the name of the variable is equivalent to a and is equivalent to 10. Now the value of this variable will always remain 10 only. It can never get changed. Now similarly is the concept with class. The final keyword if used with a class cannot be inherited. That particular class cannot be inherited. And similarly with the case of method, whenever a final keyword is used with a method, that method cannot be overridden. Now when methods get overridden, they generally get overridden in inheritance. So once a final keyword has been used with method, that particular method cannot be overridden. Okay. Now next is, what is the difference between final keyword, finally keyword and finalized keyword? So because many of you get confused within these keywords and you think that these are all the keywords belong to single thing, that is final. But these are different, the names are different and their corresponding functions are also different. So let's just see what does these names represent. So final, finally and finalize. So final keyword, as I have told you earlier, that is it is used to apply restrictions to class, method and variable. What does finally do? Finally is the block in Java exception handling to execute the important code whether the exceptions occur or not. So what does this mean? See, we all know what an exception and handling is. We use try and catch block. Try and catch block are known to many as they are very commonly used. But finally is the third block. After try catch block, there is a finally block also. So whether there is an exception occurred or not occurred in a program, the code that has been written in the finally block will always get executed whether the exception has occurred or not. So I hope this thing is clear to you. Now finalize. Finalize is the method in Java which is used to perform cleanup processing just before object is garbage collected. So it is generally used for garbage collection. It is generally used to clean up the processing. The finalize keyword is used with garbage collection and it is used for cleanup processing. Okay. Now again, the next point is final keyword is used with the classes, as I told you earlier also. Now finally block is always related to try and catch block in exception handling. So finally block will always be written after try and catch block. There is no separate thing called as finally block. It is used in exception handling only. Now next is finalize method is used with the objects. Now this particular finalize method is generally used with the objects. So I hope the difference is clear to you. So basic major difference between these 3 points were these first. these first points. So I hope this question is clear to you. Okay, next is difference between throw and throws keyword. Again, it's a very common interview question, like what does throw and throws means. Now Java throw keyword is used to throw an exception explicitly in the code inside the function or the block of code. So whenever we declare a function, or you can say in the normal flow of a program, whenever we have to throw an exception, then we use the throw keyword. That is, the throw keyword is used inside a particular function, like you can see in this example. That is, this public static void check num is a function, and in this there are two conditions. If num is less than 1, then we will throw an exception. If else this thing will be printed. Okay, so in throw is used when we have to explicitly we have to throw an exception. But throws keyword, Java throws keyword is used in a method signature to declare an exception which might be thrown by the function while the execution of the code. So throw keyword is used when we have to throw an exception while running the program, or you can say function. But throws keyword is used when we have to throw exception with the name of the function itself, by the name of the function itself. You can see here, Java throw keyword is used in the method signature to declare an exception which might be thrown by the function. So here exception is directly thrown by the function. Therefore we use throws keyword at this particular point, but we use throw keyword there when inside a function we have to throw an exception. So I hope this major difference is clear to you. So these are the examples so that the things become more clear to you. Throw is used inside the function and throws is used besides the function name. Okay, now next is explain thread lifecycle. So guys, there are 5 phases of thread lifecycle. First it is the thread is new, then it comes to runnable state, then it comes to running state, then again from running state it can go to runnable state. And for doing these processes there are certain functions that are given to you. That is start, what will start do, what does run do, sleep, and all these things. Now I won't be able to explain all these stages in a particular video in this video, so I will give the link in the description box. Make sure to go visit that link and see this cycle. Okay, so I hope this question is clear to you. Now next is difference between equals and double equivalent to operator. So many of you are confused between these two things, and you will end up giving the wrong answer in the interview. So equals, here equals, this is a method defined in object class. So equals is a method. What is dot equals? We generally use dot equals, and this equals is a method. And what is this double equivalent to? This double equivalent to is a binary operator. So when in normal languages, not in Java, when we do A double equivalent to B, we generally compare the values. But here you can see this double equivalent to is an operator, whereas this equals is an method. So this is the major difference. Now what does this method do and what does this operator do? Now this dot equals method, this method is used for checking the equality of content between two objects as per specified business logic. So let's see, if we have, let's suppose A is a string and we have name code. Okay, and B is also a string and we have, let's say, string name bashers. Okay, so if we will do A dot equals, so A dot equals B, so here by this method we are comparing the values of A and B. And it will either return true or false. But when we use double equivalent to operator, like A double equivalent to B, now in this case what we are doing, we are not comparing the values of these two variables, but we are comparing their addresses, that at what address A is stored and at what address B is stored. So this is the major difference. Equals is used to compare the values, and double equivalent to operator is used to compare the address. So this is generally in the string case. That is, when we have to compare the values of string, then we use equals, and for comparing values of A and B if integer, we can use this double equivalent to operator also. So I hope this entire question is clear to you. Okay, next is why Java is not a pure object oriented language. So as many of us know that Java is an object oriented language, but is Java a pure object oriented language? So the answer is no. Why Java is not a pure object oriented language? Because it supports primitive data types like byte, boolean, char, int, float, long. So because Java supports primitive data type, therefore it is not a pure object oriented language. So I hope this thing is clear to you. Now next is difference between abstract classes and interface. And guys, out of 10 interviews, in 8 interviews this question will be asked from you in Java, that is what is the difference between abstract classes and interface. So I will give the link in the description box. You can go there and visit this link and read it. Okay, now next is what are jagged array. So guys, for giving the definition, jagged arrays are 2D arrays in which at every index the number of elements there are not fixed, and again there it is a slight complex method. So you can visit this link and read about this jagged array concept. So they are basically 2D arrays. At every index of an array there are not the number of elements are not same. I hope you got it, and you can visit this link for reading more. Okay, now the last question of this video is static methods in Java can be overloaded. So whether answer is yes or no. So answer is yes. Yes, the static methods in Java can be overloaded, and static methods in Java cannot be overridden. So overloading of static methods is possible in Java, whereas overriding of static methods is not possible in Java. So guys, these were all 10 to 15 questions which we have discussed in this video. I hope these questions will help you in preparing for your interviews as well as clearing your interviews. So guys, this was it for this video. I hope you liked the video, and guys, make sure to watch all rest of the videos also for important subjects, because these questions can be asked from you in an interview. So guys, this was it for this video. Thank you for watching it.